I have a silly riddle for you. When is $10,000 really just $7,000? When you put it in a regular IRA instead of a Roth. Okay, I'm just being silly on that, but it illustrates the point I want to make in this video, which is when you put money into a regular IRA, you're putting it in pre-tax dollars. So if you put $10,000 in that account, really at some time in the future, the government, if let's just say you're in the 30% tax bracket, the government owns 30% of it. Where if you put $10,000 in a Roth IRA, that full $10,000 is yours. The government doesn't own any of it. And the way I like to think about it, and I think opens the eyes for a lot of my clients, frankly, is really the government is giving you an interest-free loan for 20 years. But the government gets that money back and gets all the earnings on it. But you have to manage it, and you have to pay to manage it, right? Now, you got to, if you're using an advisor, somebody like me is getting paid on 30% of the money in that regular IRA that you're never going to see. The government sees that. So does it make sense to have a regular IRA? Absolutely it does, and we'll talk about that later. But I want you to understand you really can put much more money in a Roth IRA, and it's about much more than just avoiding putting off the taxes that a regular IRA allows you to do. There's more to it than that. And this concept of really in your regular IRA, 20 or 30% of it is really owned by the government. And the government can force you to start taking money out, and they will at some age, and pay tax on that. So you want to be careful. And again, nothing wrong about IRAs. They have their place, but too many people have all of their money in a regular, the retirement money, in a regular 401k or a regular IRA, and I don't want that to happen to you. So, you know, a lot of advisors will say, well, if you think tax rates are going to be the same in the future, you're indifferent between putting money into a regular IRA and a Roth. And yes, that's true, but I would not say that you're totally indifferent, right? Because you're paying, whether you're using a financial advisor or you're using exchange traded funds or mutual funds, you're paying the management cost on that for the government's money. Why would you do that? They're not paying your management costs on anything, right? So I'm kind of shooting myself in the foot here, truth be told. But, you know, again, getting back to this, your indifferent statement that a lot of people in my industry would say, let me illustrate that. The same $10,000. And let's say tax rates are 30% again. So you put your money into a regular IRA, right? You've got that $10,000 in the account. That money doubles and it becomes $20,000, but you got to pay the government 30% of that. So the government gets $6,000. So how much are you left with? You're left with $14,000. Now let me look at a a Roth IRA. Same thing, you put $10,000, you have $10,000 that you want to put in, but you can't put it in pre-tax dollars. So that $10,000 you got to pay the tax on first as you're earning it. So now you're putting $7,000 into a Roth IRA. 20 years later, I really should have said 10 years later, the money doubles. But now, when you take the money out, you get to keep all of it. So it doubled from $7,000 to $14,000. So it's exactly the same number, which is why a lot of my peers say you're indifferent between the two. But, you know, if you can afford to put more money into the account, right, where, okay, you had to pay tax on it, but you're just going to contribute more, then you're actually better off with a Roth, which is where that concept of being able to put a third more into a Roth comes from. Now, the other thing, as I said earlier, there's nothing wrong with a regular IRA and a regular 401k. They definitely have their place. But you really want to have three different buckets. You want to have a regular IRA or regular 401k. That's one bucket. The tax me later account. Then you want to have the Roth IRA, Roth 401k, what I call the tax me never account. Really, it's tax me up front account, but I like to call it the tax me never, because once it's in that account, you're never going to be taxed on it. And then money in your bank account, which I like to call my tax me as I go account, right? You're paying tax on that every year. So you want to have those 3 accounts. And the reason you want to have those 3 accounts is this way in retirement, you get to control your tax rate, right? So when you're retired, at some point, the government's going to say, okay, you need to start taking distributions from that account that I gave you that tax-free loan on. I want my money back, which is the regular IRA. So those are required minimum distributions. And as I said earlier, a lot of people have all of their money in retirement money in a regular IRA and a regular 401k, and then they're shocked in retirement when everything they want to buy, when they take money out of their account, they have to pay tax on that money. I had a client once tell me, or a potential client, somebody that was thinking about hiring me, said, when I buy a loaf of bread, I have to pay tax on it. And what he meant by that is all of his money, unfortunately, was in a regular IRA and regular 401k. So you don't want to get to retirement age and realize, oh my goodness, I made that mistake. You want to have those 3 buckets, and each one has its own strength and each one has its own power. I will say, if you haven't heard of a health savings account, that's the most powerful of these accounts, right? It's named after, it's called the Roth IRA was started by a senator whose last name was Roth. But if a financial advisor had designed that plan, you would put money in it in pre-tax dollars like a regular IRA. It would grow tax-free like a regular and a Roth IRA, and then you wouldn't pay tax on the way out, right? That's the trifecta. You want to put money in pre-tax, have it grow tax-free, and take money out without paying tax. And if a financial advisor was a senator, that's what we'd be pushing for. And it turns out that account exists. It's called the health savings account. And that can be a really powerful tool. It was really designed to set money aside for medical expenses, but you can tweak it, you can change it. So I really should say you have 4 buckets, right? You've got the regular IRA, you've got the Roth IRA, you've got the tax me as I go, your bank account, your taxable account. And then some folks can build up. I've seen people build up well over $100,000 in their health savings account. And that can be a really powerful tool. But again, the concept between the Roth and the regular IRA is really powerful. That if you have the money and you can afford to go up to the limit, effectively the purchasing power of the same amount of money balanced within a Roth IRA is 1/3 higher than in a regular IRA. And I know I tossed in that 4th bucket, the health savings accounts. If you want to find out more about that, I've got a video. You can learn more about it right here. I'll see you in there. Thanks for watching this one. Bye-bye.